Finland is home to 5 F1 race winners and 3 Formula 1 world champions, putting it joint second on the list of countries with the most individual world champions throughout F1 history, which for a country of only 5.5 million people is crazy impressive. And that number seems even more mental when you add in the fact that there's barely any race circuits, they've never held a Formula 1 race, and that the roads are comprised of 98% snow for big parts of the year. So today I've come here to Finland to tell you what makes the Finns so good at driving and why, despite their success in sport, Formula 1 is still yet to come here. And let's do it quickly, can we? Because I'm freezing my fucking balls off. Now, Finland is a beautiful country. Cold as shit, but beautiful. And it's also very empty, with significantly more people living in London alone than in the entirety of Finland combined. And thus, it's safe to say they've done well to produce so many F1 drivers, and good ones at that, with the country actually boasting more world champions per capita than any other country on Earth. Let's put it this way, there have been 9 Finnish F1 drivers in F1 history. 5 of those have gone on to take at least 1 win, and 3 have become world champions. That's a third of all drivers. For comparison, Germany's had 54 F1 drivers, and only 5% of those have taken the title. The Brits' percentage is at 6%, and bloody France have only ever had 1 world champion from 74 drivers. Basically, lads, the Finnish people can bloody drive. But why? Well, we can split our answer into 2 parts. The culture and the climate. Let's start with the obvious first. The conditions here in Finland are fucking shit. With Kimi Räikkönen himself even crediting the Finns' success in Formula 1 to his country's climate and geography, saying, and I'll get into character for this one, "Our roads and long winters. You really have to be a good driver to survive in Finland. It is always slippery and bumpy." Blah. Now, yes, I'm sure it helps that the general population of Finland are much better drivers than the idiots we have in the UK. Uber drivers, I'm talking to you. However, I don't think it makes quite as big of a difference as Kimi makes out. Since most young drivers will already be well on their way to Formula 1 by the time they're actually old enough to take on the Finnish roads. Now, sure, they can and probably do razz it about on private land from a very young age, and that obviously does help. However, other countries with similar weather conditions and obviously much bigger populations as well, like, say, Russia, still don't see the same success in Formula 1 as Finland do. So there must be more to it. And I think it mainly comes down to the racing/driving culture that comes from having to Tokyo drift your way to the shops through snow each week. Frankly, the Finnish love their racing, with their top-level F1 and rally drivers being treated like rock stars, and many locals all taking part in grassroots motorsports themselves. With folk racing being huge in this part of the world, and there being a surprisingly large amount of go-karting tracks throughout the country, with there being 20 official kart circuits, as well as countless other unofficial tracks and ice circuits all over the place, meaning it's actually fairly easy for young Finns to get started in motorsport. As well as this, there's also a strong organised effort to try and get young Finnish talent into motorsport, with race programs like the AKK Flying Finn Academy, bringing in young talent and nurturing them with some of the best racing coaches in the country, and lads, it works, with both Kimi and Bottas having come through the system. Another big factor, which always seems to be a big factor when we talk about getting into F1, is of course money, because lads, Finland, relatively speaking, is minted, with the small population making it easier for up-and-coming drivers to secure sponsorship from big Finnish companies. Mika Salo had Nokia, Häkkinen had Neste, and Bottas has trade conglomerate Winhiri. Wahuri? Wait, what? Why Huri? This place on screen right now, yeah. I'm such a fucking idiot, lads, honestly. In short, Finland loves its racing, and thus has a strong racing culture that promotes and supports any young drivers coming up through the ranks, both socially and financially. And with the population being so small, it means it's easier for these drivers to grab these sponsorship opportunities and meet people and get the connection they need to grow and develop as a race driver. Hang on, lads, stop the video. I've spotted reindeers. Rudolph, is that you? Prancer, Dancer, Nixon? Hello lads. Do you boys like F1? But let's move away from the culture now and instead move on to the mindset, which also comes from the culture, but you know what I mean. Because I personally think that's what makes the biggest difference when it comes to Finland's success in Formula 1. Finnish drivers all very much follow the stereotype of being chilled, level-headed and focused. I mean, Kimi was known as the Iceman for that exact reason. And the Finns actually have a word for this national characteristic, sisu. Now, it doesn't really have a direct translation to English, but sisu basically describes the strength of will, determination, perseverance and hardiness, with Finlandia University describing it as not just momentary courage, but the ability to sustain courage. It defines the Finnish people and their character, for the philosophy that what must be done will be done, regardless of cost. Basically, lads, the Finnish people have got that dog in them. And so this sisu characteristic, combined with the country's really competitive culture, has attributed to their success in all sorts of sport. From skiing to CrossFit, ice hockey to ice fishing. I mean, you only have to watch the Olympics to see that Finnish athletes are warriors, lads. I mean, you've seen how popular ice baths have become in the last few years. These are basically just regular baths in Finland. They've been doing this stuff since birth. But yeah, this Finnish sporting culture basically means that their athletes are able to stay much more calm, collected, and focused than, say, their average global competition. So yeah, that's why the Finns are so good behind the wheel. But that's not what the title of this video is about, is it? Because we have another question. Why, despite all this nation's success in the sport and apparent love for racing, has F1 never raced here? Well, flashback to the early 1950s, and we did see 2 unofficial F1 events take place at this place. However, in this modern day of F1, the main issue of a race in Finland is just the fact that there's no track. At least none with grade 1 homologation anyway. Meaning that even if F1 wanted to race in Finland, there's nowhere for it to actually do so. And if any rich Finnish businessmen wanted to actually go and change that, they'd have their work cut out for them, lads. Since, as you can imagine with the climate out there, undertaking a mega building project like that isn't easy. And I mean, the maintenance fees alone to keep the track actually up to standard during the winter season would basically just make the entire project a money pit. However, that being said, some nutty rich Finnish race fans said fuck it and did it anyway. With the Kaimi Ring in Kausala aiming to be the first circuit in Finland to hold a grade 1 standard with aims to host both an F1 and a MotoGP race in the near future. Construction began in 2016 and then finally 4 years later, the circuit was officially opened with a small MotoGP test before it was then added to the actual MotoGP calendar for 2020. However, just a few months before the big race, the track still wasn't ready, despite the fact it opened the year prior. And thus, the MotoGP race was cancelled. The track then did its best to get the final bits of construction finished and the circuit homologated in time for 2021, but it didn't happen. Nor did it in 2022 or 2023. With the owners now having gone bankrupt, putting an end to the F1 dream at the Kaimi Ring. And for the time being, the F1 dream for Finland as a whole. This track, however, isn't the first in the Nordics to try and fail at getting grade 1 standard. With the geographical conditions and lack of finding funding, killing off every single one thus far. If that even makes sense. I don't know, it's cold, my lips have stopped working. And that's probably how it's going to stay, lads. Especially with the way F1 is now, with so many races on the calendar and loads of rich countries willing to throw millions and millions and millions on building new tracks in the desert, a track in Finland just isn't going to be able to compete. That's if they can even bloody build one. But not to worry, boys and girls. Let's give it another 30 years or so and global warming should fix that for us. You know, the planet will keep heating up, the ice will eventually melt, the conditions will be nice, and we can finally get a Finnish Grand Prix just in time for the end of the world. I'm joking, but it probably does have some truth to it, which is the sad thing. What do you lot think, lads? Would you like to see F1 race here in Finland? Let me know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and if you want to see more from me, you can click here to watch another one of my videos. Now I'm going to go inside because my bollocks are freezing off. Nice one, lads. I'll see you in a bit. Oh my god, I've fallen into a snow cave.